sharp positions right now. The games have been very, very solid, e4, e5, and there you go. He's mixing it up with the Sicilian.
We love it.
All right.
Now that Vesselin and Nakamura aren't here anymore, somebody's got to play the Sicilian, right? Yes?
And paving the way very quickly into a Taimanov. And you were saying that one of the things that Magnus is very impressing me about is his pace, his quick pace that he's been keeping.
I mean, Liren's been playing really quickly too, but unfortunately with that has become many more mistakes than Magnus.
Yes.
So
it doesn't
to
take
state
that
the
many
obvious,
mistakes.
you got to play
many,
fast
how
and
many
good.
mistakes have we seen from him though? It's you know, you could call it a lot of mistakes. It's not that many mistakes. It doesn't take much.
Right, exactly.
We've seen some masterpieces by Magnus, some games that just look so classic. Like he could have played that over the board against strong players, just playing just clean, clear chess, very powerful moves. It's not the problem of how many mistakes you make. It's just the guy won, and he's all over you.
Exactly.
But the thing I'm saying is that Liren's problem is not the clock, you know.
Oh, no.
It's been the position and just simply being outplayed. By the way, intriguing move for me, this very early A2, A3 in this Taimanov. It seems like a soft move. However, having said that, Magnus is, I mean, he's playing it as if it's all part of his preparation. Bishop E2, Bishop B7, castles, and okay.
The bishop's on D3, by the way.
Oh, pardon me, Bishop D3.
Now, I feel like when you say a soft move, is that like a backhanded compliment?
Well, no, it's kind of like saying I don't need to do anything incredibly forcing. I'm happy with the advantage I have, which is my extra development and space for the moment. It's not like he's really hitting the position hard.
So there's no value judgment there. You're not necessarily saying good or bad when you say soft.
No, exactly. It's kind of what I mean to say. It's an important side variation. But normally speaking...
Knight f6 was played, by the way. Knight f6, rook e1.
In a Sicilian where Black has achieved the b7, b5, and he's managed to provoke White to play the move a2, a3, this is considered a kind of a success for the Black pieces.
Rook c8 played by Black, and that's a good point. Yes, it's the question for White often in this system is, can he make any progress with his pawns? Because it's very hard to break down the armor. You see that structure that Black has put together, and he's arguing that he's got this armor that you can't break, and you can't use pieces to break them down. The pawns are just too tough, so you can't use pieces to break it down. You need some kind of pawn break, and if you stare at the board, you start looking around. Where is White's pawn break? E5 is a nice little move, as you point out. That diagonal, however, will be open, and you hang mate in one. And even if you play F4, then how do you follow it up? F5 is not going to go anywhere. E5 is not possible. You'll have to take some time to get things going. So it's not exactly clear what the precise plan should be, as we see Queen F3 is now on the board. He is preparing to bring his queen to that side. Now, the question for Black, of course, is what to do with his king, because his king is in the middle of the board. You would think he's going to cast at some point. A lot of times in this type of setup, Black will play moves like H5 and push this pawn down the board. Also get the G4 square for the knight. So you see that happen quite a bit. Right now, Magnus is trying to tickle that side of the board and create some weaknesses if possible. But both sides now, it got to be cagey. What exactly is going on? I never liked playing this with White when I didn't get anything going, because Black's position is so sturdy.
Good points. From Ding's point of view, too, H7, H5, one of those moves, I think that Sicilian players appreciate those moves. I'm not really a Sicilian player. I look at that move and I go, golly, I know you want to stop G4, G5, but aren't you just weakening your king side? By the way, after Queen F3, we...
Bishop D6.
Bishop D6.
Stopping Queen G3.
Yeah, I was about to say, Black has this option of playing with a passive bishop, but not a poorly placed bishop either, Bishop E7, or a slightly more active role in the center of the board, Bishop D6, bringing the bishop to E5, eyeballing this knight on C3. I like this active play, and again, I just feel that for Ding, he really does need to mix things
Wow,
up a lot.
look
Bishop
at this.
D4?
Bishop D4 was
D4.
played, and instantly, by ding, he played Queen C7, hanging a pawn on F6, but threatening a pawn on H2. Magnus ignored the H2 pawn and took
The
on
challenge.
F6, giving up his dark squared bishop, and then after captures, ignoring that pawn on F6, of course, because of H2, and now playing Queen H5. This is giving away all the dark squares. For the long term, this dark square bishop will be powerful. Bishop E5 then played, and instantly a pawn sack with knight to E2. I mean, Magnus is playing all these moves in a flash.
Wow.
I mean, his B pawn is just hanging in this position. It could be captured. Where's his real play here? What a amazing decision, played so quickly. I mean, Black could just take on B2 and then bring the bishop back, and there would be no F4 in the position or anything, Yaz. But
Yeah.
Ding Liren didn't even bother.
Knight came to
that's
D1.
Oh, the knight came to D1. My apologies there.
Yeah, we're looking
My
at the
apologies.
webcam.
We're looking at the so the knight came to D1.
Because the knight could go to G4.
And now
That's-
king to E7. All right, so
That's
that
the route.
cleared those cobwebs. But look how Ding is playing this. He's put his king on E7 after C3,
Knight will come to E3 now.
and then rook to G8. No, sorry. Yeah, rook G8 first, and then knight E3.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Rook's C8 to G8.
Yes.
Knight E3.
And of course, there's some tricky tactics with knight F5 and knight D5, maybe.
Rook
but
G5 very quickly.
Always
by
But
the
rook
way.
easy.
G5,
shot.
queen H3. I don't know. White seems to have developed, I mean, Black seems to have developed quite a nice position. H5 now played, now he's just dominating White's pieces. White needs a pawn break really quickly.
Yeah, but the big question is, can White actually drive Black's pieces back? Something like a G3, Knight G2, maybe that's asking for trouble.
You
G3,
really
Knight
are.
G2, F4, that would be a dream. The other thing that White could do, interestingly enough, is now that Black's forces are really focused on the king side, there's a little tickle over here with A3, A4 to
I don't know about
try
them
to
kind
bring
of tickles.
But instead of Queen H4,
Queen H4, slowing down any advancement of any further advancement of the H pawn.
adding some support to F4, the queen and the bishop now adequately defend it, but that
No,
could
this
change.
doesn't look like
But
enough.
that's-
Double rooks and play for F5 maybe. I know F5 looks dangerous because of the pin on the king, and also the king is in the middle of the board. But wow, Black looks like he's building something here.
Well, you know, in this match, Black has been pretty good. Most of Magnus's wins came with the Black pieces, and the one
Interesting.
game that Ding Liren almost won was also with Black.
Exactly. I recall now that Ding actually was playing poorly with the white pieces, and we have seen the move rook on H8 to G8, doubling rooks on the half-open G file to eyeball this pawn on G2, which is at the moment sufficiently protected by the
G3
knight
did-
on E3.
But G3 was played.
Very
And for
quickly,
the last
G3.
like 5 to 10 moves, Black's moves have seemed easier than White's, but that's going to change soon. Now that Black's played all these natural moves, King E7, Rook G5, Rook G4.
Right. How does he take it any further? I like the idea, what you were saying, Maurice, with F6, F5, but I think the move that you need to prepare that F5 is to play a move like Queen C6.
He's played it. F5 is on the board.
Yeah.
No preparation. The point being that he is going to play Queen C6 if you capture that pawn.
Precisely.
So he's going for the attack. He takes F5, runs into Queen C6,
With the
and
threat of checkmate in one.
actually,
What about Knight D5? Knight D5 and Bishop E4 was what I wanted to do, but I guess
In this
possible.
moment? In this
After,
moment?
no, after
No,
takes an
takes-
F5, Queen C6.
definitely possible.
Knight D5
Knight
check.
D5 is maybe
Knight
the only
D5
move.
check.
Maybe the only move on the
right.
board. Queen takes, and then Bishop to E4.
Skewering the bishop.
And know that the Bishop on E5 is also loose now.
I don't know. You're talking about anything being loose. I'm worried about White's position so much. And he has taken on F5. We're going to see something similar to this because Queen C6 is the only move. I mean, looks like the only way. What else could you do? Why would you do any of this if not to play Queen C6? And it's on the board, and Knight D5 is on the board as well. Big time defense by Magnus. These guys are playing amazing chess. They haven't even used more than 5 minutes on the clock. Although, look, Ding Liren with an edge on the clock right now. He has to take this knight, Bishop to E4. And now, where does this queen go?
That's
Is G3
Exactly.
going to be weak at any point? Because there's possible Queen C5 pinning.
There's also f4 coming into the position, so that might mean you have to play queen c5.
Wait a minute, but I'm just looking at queen c4. Queen c4 was played, yeah, queen c4 pitting across the line because you couldn't capture the bishop right away, and he did play it, forcing Magnus to concede with b3 in order to win his piece back. But Magnus is up a pawn, so
create a little pawn weakness over
because
there.
Because f4 would have been met by.
Sorry, f4 when?
Probably before b3. Jen was
f4,
just looking at f4.
Bishop
I've got a
worst.
bishop d4 check too.
Or bishop takes.
No, but can he
just take this?
Can he take bishop takes e4 and now after pawn g5 you have two bishops.
You're going to suffer. You're going to die in this position.
Right.
Those two bishops are too strong. The king f6 can just be met by the king tucking away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So b3 was obliged by Magnus. Ding Liren to play, and what's the times? Ooh, the first half of the game is gone by very quickly.
This is great, guys.
Now, what to take? B3 or C3?
B3 or C3? I was actually wondering about a counterpiece sacrifice with Queen C5. Can I sacrifice? Oh, pardon me, my king's.
Yeah, your rook spin. You can't get out of
my
that.
rook spin. Just a second. That's not
He took
good.
on C3.
He did take on C3. Pardon me. Take on B7, and now he's got to break the spin of the queen on H4.
Bishop F6,
so
quite
bishop
adequate
F6
to do it.
Rook
so
takes G3.
as
rook
well as rook takes
G3
F5. But rook G3
is a real threat.
big time
takes,
threat.
Takes.
Big time
Yeah,
threat.
but then we're capturing all the pawns, so the queen's
No, see, he
win.
ignored it.
We
He
do have
ignored
rook
it because
C1.
rook G3 can be met by.
Well,
Actually, rook G3 now can just be met by pawn takes. On
yeah, because our
Right.
queens in take.
queen.
Yeah.
So
Right,
now
exactly.
He has to do something about the queen, but it looks like the queen could nibble.
Time to munch.
Sure.
Can't take anything special, but B3 looks. And with that, put black up a pawn. Black will be up a pawn for the moment. And what is white threatening?
I can see a threat for black, actually.
Yeah,
so I think it's time to
exactly.
get the queen back into civilization, something like this move with
He
ideas.
took the pawn. He's now up a pawn, and I'm just not sure what the threat from Magnus is right now. I mean, it looks like you could. I mean, if you play the queen move you're talking about, he could play rook to G4 maybe.
Rook to G4, very good move, of course.
I think black's better here.
Well, it's all about the king, right? Can white get a check on the A3 diagonal to kind of blow the king out of the bunker a bit? Maybe
I don't know. I feel like he has a trade. I think
queen,
white.
How about queen F4 with the idea of eyeballing the C7 square? You can't
put
play
your queen there,
takes
and the next
F5.
move he's
And
played
he's played queen
E4.
E4.
He has played queen
He maintains
E4.
a 1 minute edge
E4,
against
rook
Ding
G4,
Liren on the
very
clock.
quickly.
Rook G4 immediately by Ding Liren.
And
He's
now-
just under 3 minutes.
So Ding can Ding play for? Yeah, he could. He has some weird tactic on rook G3 twice, right? Because if
Rook takes G3.
yeah, and Magnus has to be mindful of it.
And he's played queen E2, so Magnus's queen has re-centralized it, was over stuck on the H4 square.
And
H4,
H4 direct attack, and pawn takes
Both
on
players-
E6 F takes. Is there a sacrifice for white?
Both players mauling one another's king pawn shield.
Well, maybe he wants to play rook D1, hinting at bishop D5 and rook takes D7 check.
The bishop
like
D4
that.
is
Or rook
coming.
C7.
Bishop
rook
D4 is
Bishop
C7.
D4 is coming.
Rook C7 with similar ideas.
Well, rook C7. Oh, I don't have queen takes E6. Pardon me. But
Rook
bishop
C7.
D4, H G3, sacrifices on G3.
I want to sack my rook
I
right away. Bishop
think
D4 and
it's-
sack my rook.
I
is
think
what
it's time
want.
to just kind of kick this rook back a bit. Maybe bishop F3. I can maybe try to shut down operations with G4. And I like your idea, Jen, too, of bringing the rook to C7. He has played.
He's played rook D1. So
rook
what's it?
D1.
So now we wonder what his idea is on bishop D4. But instead, Ding Liren took on G3 first.
Very
and
good.
then
Wow,
F takes G3.
man, this position looks so dangerous. F takes. You, who's attacking who in this position?
Exactly.
Bishop D, no, rook D4, shutting down any ideas along that line.
Of sacrificing in bishop D5.
Should we point out that both sides have connected pass pawns?
Yes.
I mean, whatever that means in
This
this
was
position.
this was the Hikaru Nakamura show in his match with Vesel and Topolov.
King G2.
A key feature in that match was the central pawns that Hikaru seem to always achieve.
King
Rook
G2,
takes
a trade of
D1.
rooks and
D1.
another pawn. Nibble on A3 and say, what do you
Why
have?
not?
Where's the mate?
Why not?
Where's the beef? 2 pawns up right now for black, and Magnus trying his level
Queen
best
D2.
to get some kind of play with this move. But Queen D2, he could go into an endgame, and he does go into the endgame. Queen to B2, trading off
Let's
queens,
trade
and he's going to
queens.
play B4, and that pawn is going to be protected and passed.
That's right.
Magnus has to take on A6, B4, and now that's something for Magnus to worry about. Clearly, black's the one who's better here.
Absolutely. Extra
No
pawn.
question. It is Ding who's trying to win this game. He has played masterfully.
He's got to try to win his first game here in St. Louis. Bishop D3 has occurred, and they both have a little over 2 minutes.
And D5, here comes the pawns
Here
that
comes-
Nakamura showed in the Sicilian can be so powerful. King
King
F3,
Well, let's get those guys moving. E5 looks like a good move. He's
and it was
played
done. Bishop
E5.
very
C2,
quickly. Bishop C2. It's how
E4 check.
How big a factor is the clock at
Well,
this
they
moment?
both have both about 2 minutes.
King
So
E2 was played.
Yes.
not an easy task, and it's Ding Liren who has to figure out how to win. Magnus has Carlsen's move come a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So that is
But-
my concern here for Ding.
Well, it looks like King coming up the board, supporting the pawns.
He's played Rook C8 though, trying to activate his rook first.
C8.
Yes,
Attacking the bishop.
testing that bishop.
If you
That
go
bishop
to-
switches diagonals, it goes to B3, then D4 happens.
Exactly.
So the bishop has to stay. He did it anyway, but
Did
there's
it,
D4.
allowing D4, those
And
pawns.
Bishop
look
D5.
monstrous.
Magnus played quickly, Bishop D5, but looks like the world champion is in a world of trouble as the
Rook-
rook has landed on C2.
Rook
Big-
C2 check, he missed maybe that you can't go Rook
Rook
D2
D2
because of
'cause of
D3
D3.
check. And then if King E3, there's just Bishop C1.
And
Precisely.
King F1 and E3, and this one looks busted.
He was
Look
trying
at
to
those
blockade with the
pawns
Bishop
march.
D5, but it didn't work. It was one move too late.
Rook E1, Rook
E1.
F2 check, forcing the king over. Bishop C3. Look at the nexus of all those pieces on light squares, on dark squares, I mean.
Exactly. Rook F1. Magnus still in there trying to make a blockade.
That's right, E2 doesn't
But
work.
No, a
Rook takes
trade, and then
F1.
D3 is going to happen, and Ding has scored his first win.
And a magnificent win at that.
Because E2 check is coming.
Well,
Absolutely.
D3 first, right? D3 followed by
D3 did happen. Oh, it
Yes.
didn't. He
No,
resigned right
he
before
resigned
that.
after
Yeah.
the trade.
He resigned. What a game by Ding Liren.
What a
wow.
game. What a game.
Big time applause.